There it is. Your hottest record in the world is Fade, courtesy of Kanye West. And we have Kanye on the line right now. Kanye, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
Good morning to you. You're in LA, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, listen, we thank you for your time. Fade is a record that immediately jumped out to us over here in the UK who love dance music so much. Firstly, from the samples. And I guess it's a good place to start just with your relationship to this record, to Fade.
There was a lot of songs that I would play when I was just a kid learning how to produce. I mean, these repetitive bass lines always inspired me. That's what I grew up on in Chicago. And I wanted to make something that felt very aggressive, like those house parties I would go to. And just something that when I did my concerts, when I did the festival, something that people could just really go crazy to. So we could like rock out for 10 minutes too.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about just the life of Pablo as a whole and kind of, I'm fascinated with how you work as a producer, as someone who kind of oversees all these sounds, sonics, textures and kind of putting them together like a collage. I'm sure people will be just fascinated to know the creative process behind a record like Fade. How long does it take to put together something like that for you?
I think about like no more than about 25 years or so.
Fair enough.
Because it's like we're putting together the tour right now, and I'm just excited to be able to play with these different kind of melodies and tempos as I like organize like the story of the tour. You know, when I work on albums, I think about the way people are going to listen to them in their car and on the laptop, and the way people are going to experience them live. So that's the reason why, like, if I do Coachella, like, soon as I heard the sample for Power, I knew it was going to be my opening song, you know, at Coachella.
Yeah.
So the Coachella performance would have been a year and a half, 2 years in the making. So it's, you know, Fade, it's right now, but it's like, what is that? What's that song going to mean in festivals a year from now? Also, like a lot of times, like I'll have, you know, we try to innovate so much with the music that when the songs first come out, I've never had a first single that really did well at radio ever in my career. Nat Can't Tell Me Nothing, Nat Diamond, Nat Through the Fire, even Power really did well on radio. I look on the iTunes charts and Power would be number 180 or something. But when you start seeing it come through those commercials and see football teams using it, or you just performing at festivals and see everybody clapping their hands to it, it's like this type of soul, this type of art takes a while to cook. It's like when my wife cooks for me, and I always ask for greens. She never wants to cook the greens because they take 3 hours to cook. and I think that's what this story is. Even with Pablo, like so many people come back to it and say, wow, this is like my favorite album in so long, of not just me, but of any artist, or like just undeniably people being like, oh, this is my favorite album of the year. And I believe that, you know, we'll look up and Real Friends will be on the radio in January and things like that, because it just takes it takes a while for these things to, you know, really soak in. But once they're there forever. Like I could do Jesus Walks for the rest of my life.
Please do.
I could do Can't Tell Me Nothing for the rest of my life. Yeah.
I mean, that leads me on to what you said about the life of Pablo being a living, breathing, creative expression. And again, that was fascinating to me because it's the way you look at an album as differently to every other artist or people in the industry, which is something that you put out, is finished, is done. But you're looking at it as something that can evolve and mutate, as something that is art rather than a finished piece of music as such.
Yeah, and really embracing the idea of, you know, saying goodnight to the CD. Like, the whole concept for the Jesus album is that we're not going to be using CDs in the future, and since this is the last time we're going to see it, this is an open casket to the CD. Just look at the CD for the last time. Wow. Like, I don't know if you bought any CDs. Have you bought any CDs this year?
No. I don't buy CDs anymore.
So that's what I'm saying. So Jesus is like, look at this open casket to the CD. So if we are in this digital age, we're constantly your Instagram is changing, your Snapchat story only stays up for a day, then why not have the opportunity to like change the music? Sometimes you get too much ability to change things. Like say Fade, the original Pablo version has the gospel sample at the beginning, and then the second version had the gospel sample halfway in because it was a mistake that my engineers made to put the gospel sample in the beginning. The keep listening, yeah. And now I'm like, I hope the radio version has the gospel sample at the beginning because now I kind of like the mistake more. And like you have to update.
But I think that's such an important thing, to be able to change your mind, to be able to go back and forwards with decisions because things change.
Yeah, like we are in an era where people are being hooked on beauty now. People could give a F about how many cars you got anymore. It's about, the way the music sounds, where you're going, the experience that you're going to, hanging out with your friends, the type of clothes that you're wearing, all that. The clothes is like art, the music is art, the experience is that. We're like approaching a Renaissance era, and there's so many like artists that are like video directors and painters and musicians and clothing designers and creative directors and this, and it's this community of artists. And I feel like Johnny Ives has a community of engineers and designers that sit there and make that groundbreaking Apple product. So, people have went and said, oh, Kanye, he's so crazy, he's this, he's that. People call you crazy so much, you start to believe yourself. So like, maybe I shouldn't have these dreams and aspirations. Maybe I should have gave up on life like back, 10 years ago and stopped fighting for my truth. Maybe because I got so in trouble just for saying the truth out loud to the point where I was considered to be a bad person. Maybe I should give up on my truth. And like 2 weeks ago, the fact that I was able to create an art piece and people not know how it was done, why it was done, how it was thought of, how it got executed, and to be able to say and put whoever and exactly who I wanted, like the presidents of the United States, Anna Wintour, Bill Cosby, Caitlyn, Amber, and of course, Taylor Swift, like, to be able to do that, and then to also be able to be a successful business person at the same time, it's like, I don't feel crazy anymore. And I was always like, look, it's going to be one or two things that happen. Either I'm crazy or everybody else is. And that was
everyone else is, it seems.
That was like the moment. That was like the breaking point. I mean, even when I went on Ellen, I call like Payless. I don't know if you guys have Payless shoe stores out there.
No.
Okay, so Payless is a place that the shoes are, the highest price would be like $30. And like, if you don't have money for Air Jordans or you don't have money for like Yeezys now, it's, and you got like a couple kids and, you go to Payless and they make a version of the shoe and this and that. And I reached out to the CEO this time last year, and I had to explain to him my mission in life of the fact that I wanted all the information that I got from designing and doing high-end and all this stuff and bring it to the people. And I think that there's such a connotation and a perception about me that it was like hard for him to see past that. In our original conversation, I explained to him about my dad being an activist and my mom being like an English professor, and like I grew up in Operation Push, and my mom and my grandfather driving in the sit-ins in the 60s, and now, so I'm going to Adidas, and I'm like, Adidas, I know you've never made a shoe under $50, but we have to make a shoe that costs $30 US. And I'm going to wear it. It's going to be the coolest shoe of all. To me, like, this thing I'm saying is the thing I'm most excited about of anything I've ever done. To be able to take all of what I've learned from the best designers and making collections with fashion people, ripping me up alive and dissing me and saying, don't quit your day job and all that, to be able to get to the point of being able to make something that everyone can touch and have that visibility. You only have 100 years on the planet if you're lucky. What are you doing that's pushing and touching people and like inspiring people and letting them have peace of this good life that's like hidden behind, a certain financial bracket or hidden on the other side of Instagram. Like, no, I want people to have it. And another thing, and I'm going to say in this radio interview right now, because maybe it can make a difference, is I have to work with Ikea, with furniture, with interior design, with architecture. And I know that if I do a minimalist apartment inside of a college dorm where the TV goes inside of the wall and I sketched it out. I went to Ikea, I visited them, and I feel that when they came to their board and blah, 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 people start bringing up, he interrupted this girl and told the truth. So he's the worst person in the planet. And it's like, because I say what everyone else is thinking, like really like I literally am going to be like held to, some type of social prison for the rest of my life for saying the truth, being slightly rude or whatever. Now, I'm not even going to talk too much and let people turn this into some type of rant, because y'all can turn rant to a positive connotation anyway. Let's start with that. How about dreaming out loud? How about still feeling like something can happen to make the world better, to inspire people? Is that okay for 1 second?
I think it definitely is. It's funny because the way that you work, your mind is limitless in terms of the way that you feel like what you can achieve, and everyone has the capability to achieve whatever they want. But I think sometimes people feel like they can't. So when you come along and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, everyone's indoctrinated into thinking, I can only just go so far in my life. And maybe people are intimidated by how wide and far your aspirations spread. But the easiest thing is proof that a creator is a creator and an artist is an artist, and you can apply that to whatever you like, right?
Yeah, it's like telling Michelangelo, I know you did this dope angel. That was really good, but Michelangelo, I don't think you could paint a cow.
Okay, so what I can imagine there's a whole list of things that you are planning and plotting to achieve in your life in this 100 years. What else is there going on in your brain?
Content.
Content.
I want to make content, and I don't want to have to get scripts approved to do it. And I don't want to have to go into personal debt again to do it. Like, I just need content. Like, if it's the head of Disney, if it's the head of Netflix, if it's the head of Apple, if it's whoever, like, the ability to make content. Like, don't you feel like the reason why I was able to make famous is because I did a deal with Jay-Z to make videos. Mm-hmm. I took the videos, I worked on the famous piece for 4 months. No one knew what I was doing, and then I just did it. Don't you feel like if I had to get approvals every step of the way, that there would have been something different about it?
Yeah, 100%.
So, but don't you also feel that something about that video sparked people to just do what they felt? Not even just creatives, just anybody in life, just to like have a set of balls and be like, yo, this is what I want to say, and do it. Like when people just hold you back for political reasons, hold you back. They literally are so institutionalized themselves that they try to give you some institutional information, expect you to go for it. So what I'm saying is, it's necessary for me to make content in this globe to forward the way people are thinking, the things that my mom as an educator put in me to spark people in that way. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is my meeting that should happen if I'm meeting with the head of a company, Universal, Disney, whoever. Hey, Mr. West, what's your idea for a film? What's the idea? Here's the idea. I'm going to do it. That's my idea. And the script don't matter. Like when you go see Tarantino, it doesn't matter if he's talking about the slave time, the Holocaust, whatever. It's Tarantino. Like this interview. You interviewing with Kanye West right now. He's full on. He's full on Warhol, Steve Jobs, Disney, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't know what to expect, but would you want anything less?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's what sets you apart from everyone else. So when I went to see the MSG, you know, the album launch in the cinema in North London, the one thing that I came out of it with was that you are a 100% sole creator and decider and executor of everything that you do. It feels that you are fully 100% in charge of all the decisions, and there is no compromise with you, which is what makes you so polarizing, but also so, I think, brilliant as an artist.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I did want it to be more well lit, and I was thinking I was like light it like an NBA game, and we do chiaroscuro lighting so much that they probably are like, oh no, we're gonna light it like artful, and I'm like, no, light it like an NBA game. And by the time I'm walking out with Lamar, and everybody's walking out, they changed the light, and I can't. I look at like old Disney documentaries and just imagine like an animator changing something that he didn't like. I think Disney doesn't get enough credit as a director. When people talk about their favorite directors of all time, like Disney has some dope movies under his belt too. Because as I get into content, I'm like super inspired by Kubrick. I always say like none of these guys have the balls that Kubrick had. Like his last film. This dude is super old. He's done everything. He's lived through Hollywood. He's done all that. In his last film, he's literally got Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, telling Tom Cruise while she's in a nightgown, smoking the weed, about how she saw a guy at another party that she wanted to hook up with. That was his last film, the premise of his last film. You know, and who's to tell Stanley Kubrick that he should do it or not do it? Like, I watched, like, Eyes Wide Shut inspired Runaway. And that's the point. And Runaway, how about that? Like, you know how many directors come to me and be like, Runaway got me into doing films. Or people say Flashing Lights got me into doing films. The best thing about Famous is like, I saw Apple and had like some bad reviews. And I was just like, I felt so sorry for people who would review Famous in a bad way. I felt so sorry that people could be so institutionalized to the idea of what a video is, that to not be able to appreciate the concept of not understanding something, of being confused. That brings you back to high school, like having a crush on someone but not knowing if they like you back, or like not doing your homework and the anticipation is your mom and dad going to be, mad at you or not. Like everything that you see, you don't get that feeling anymore. We're numb. We're like numb to like 500 kids getting killed in Chicago a year. We're numb to the fact that it was 7 police shootings in the beginning of July. And you can read something, but then if you see it, it's just in the fact that we're numb to places on the earth that we don't live. Like, our life is okay, but it's okay for other people's lives to not be okay. Like, when I talk about the idea of being president, I'm not saying I have any political views. I don't have views on politics. I just have a view on humanity, on people, on the truth. If there's anything that I can do with my time and my day to somehow make a difference while I'm alive, I'm going to try to do it. Period.
Let's talk about you as a performer again. Quickly, just talk about Glastonbury, if you don't mind. Revisit that moment. It was such a big moment for the UK, having you headline that kind of iconic festival. How was that, now that you have the benefit of hindsight? How was that whole experience for you?
It was incredible. Like, I started off the show, and they completely messed up the music. And me, as you can imagine by this phone call, I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so, it really put me into a slightly depressed state. And it put me back into the position of when I was in high school and I got fired from my job, or when I, played my music for R. Kelly and he told me he was going to sign me. And then, 3 months later, I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford a haircut. I couldn't take my girlfriend to the movies, and I'm still in my mama's bedroom working on beats, and I was that close to being signed, by R. Kelly. It was something about that, anytime you think about performance, I think about like Kurt Cobain's last performances. And I'm not saying that to do a comparison because I'm sure like the rock crowd will be like, oh my God, they just messed up the right as a rapper commission. But then I go out and I do Hold My Liquor with Justin Vernon, who is my favorite living artist. I love Justin the way Kanye loves Kanye. Like, so he goes up there, he's got his machine, it's like a little sampler that he uses.
Yeah.
And when he gets up there next to me, I'm doing Hold My Liquor, and I completely forget the lyrics. And we just go off the rails and just have a moment of feeling like we're back in the studio or feeling like we're back in high school. No, by the way, you have to play that Francis and the Lights.
Well, we played it last night. We played it last night. We're in love with it. We love it.
Okay. That's like my favorite song of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I love this song so much. But it felt like that, how that song felt. Like we got to get into just making real music while the entire world is watching. How do you make your sandbox so you can go back to who you were when you were in high school, even with billions and billions of people watching? And not to mention the outfit was fresh as hell and it wasn't a bad photo and the lights was shaking, like people went crazy, that part too.
Do you like for a show like that where you're kind of, it's different for you. It's something you've never done before. It's kind of a lot of the audience are brand new to what you do. Do you get nervous? Do you get yourself in a kind of state of tension before you go on, or do you try and remain calm? I mean, it would be impossible not to get nervous in that scenario, no?
Yeah, I don't usually get nervous. I prepare. I get fully prepared.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, when that music messed up in the beginning, when we were, like, raising the lighting rig and all that, it taps into my nerves. And when you're nervous and when you're vulnerable, something special and something different can happen.
Okay, so talking about that performance, you have announced your St. Pablo tour. You're going to be touring all over America, and you're going to be doing Madison Square Gardens in September as well, which we're going to try and come and see you at, which we're excited about. Are you thinking or planning to come over to Europe? Do you think that the UK fans might be lucky enough to see you live at some point soon?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I'm telling you, whenever I'm in London, whenever I'm in Paris, whenever I'm in Germany, I feel an amount of love, respect, and appreciation that I feel more than when I'm in America. There's something where people are they look at musicians like artists. They look at like, yo, out here, you're not an artist anymore. You're like a celebrity. You're a headline. And there are people who do like appreciate the music and it, but it becomes more about other things than the actual artistry. When I'm out there, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. If I'm at a restaurant, a store, if I'm just talking to a lady on the street or whatever, it's like there's like a reverence to how hard it is to make music and how, Dark Fantasy, 2 years in the making, Pablo, 3 years in the making, the process of being in the studio with Paul McCartney. The process of getting to a point in your career to be in the studio with Paul McCartney. Like, people appreciate that. So, yes, you're right. I'm going to come to UK.
Woo! We're happy. That is good news for us. Kanye, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to chat to you. We so appreciate your time and your thoughts, as always.
Thank you so much.
Kanye, we hope to see you soon. And enjoy your beautiful sunny day in LA.